What is a fact that can possibly save your life? When having a heart attack, you don't swallow aspirin, you chew it. Is this real? Gets to the bloodstream faster through the walls of the mouth. Then why don't people always take it that way? Besides, I assume the powder inside tasting bad. If you get impaled or stabbed, leave the object in and call 911, or your country's equal. That object is keeping all the blood on the inside of your body. If the wound is still bleeding, wrap cloth around the impaled object to try and stem the flow of blood. You can look up how to do a donut trap, it's super quick and easy. If your cloth saturated with blood, cover it with another. Never take off a bandage. Why shouldn't you take off the bandage? The blood will already be in the starting stages of clotting with the original cloth, and removing it will cause a resurgence in flow. Do not delay getting out of a burning building. The flames are not what will kill you. The smoke will get very thick and toxic very quickly, and you will not be able to see the way to get out. Stay low and go, go, go. The oxygen is down near the floor. And don't think a handkerchief over your face will do shit. If you're being tied up, puff yourself out as much as possible so it'll be easier to wiggle out of. Tense muscles, inhale deep and stretch out your arms and legs to make more space. Me and my classmates used to have competitions where we'd tie each other up with rope. It started out with hands, but it went to full body, and we'd time ourselves on how fast we could get out. It was also good practice for tying someone up, since we got to see which methods worked best. I used to pull this trick all the time and get the fastest time. My hands would be really red, and there would be lots of marks, but it was worth it. And that, kids, is how I found my fetish. If you ever almost drown to the point of throwing up water or passing out, even if you feel 100% fine, get to a hospital. Your lungs can unwittingly self-fill up with fluid over the next few hours. Maybe not your life, but someone else's. Most drowning is silent. The victim quite literally cannot speak to call for help, as they are too desperately trying to get any air at all. Drowning can look simply like a person bobbing in the water until they no longer come back up. Keep a watch out. Especially if it's kids. I came here to comment something about drowning. I've seen lots and lots, maybe hundreds, of people in the early stages of drowning, and it's definitely not at all like the movies. The movement of the swimmer can alert you to the fact that they're drowning. Most swimmers, in my experience, exhibit what we call climbing the ladder. Their face is upturned as they gasp for air, and you can see their arms furiously moving, as if they're trying to literally climb a ladder out of the water. It's pretty well explained in this video. I've only had a handful of incidents where the swimmer has shouted, screamed. Definitely the exception to the rule. Always pays to be vigilant around water, it's pretty unforgiving. And please always have eyes on children as they play in around water. Drowning can happen ridiculously quickly. If your vomit look like coffee ground, you are bleeding internally, you need to go to the hospital. Here's a picture since Wikipedia doesn't have one. Black poop can also be a sign of internal bleeding, though it may also be because you ate black foods. There are no rules. If a stranger puts their hands on you, yell, scream bloody murder, kick, bite, make the biggest scene you possibly can, and run away as fast as you can. Make sure your kids understand that this is the exception, the time they must draw as much attention as possible, and do anything it takes to get away and get help. If someone is in trouble, and you want to leap in to save them, make sure you have a way to get out yourself. I recently saw a video of a drowning man. Another man jumped in to try and save him. Instead, both drowned. I've seen several news stories of someone getting stuck in a riptide, and their family goes to save them, and then they all drowned. If you are ever buried in rubble, earthquake, tornado, building collapse, etc., don't shout. You'll lose your voice and waste energy. Instead, grab a piece of rubble and knock in patterns of threes. Humans are expert pattern makers and pattern notices. Rescuers will hear the distinctive pattern sound and go toward it. Once you can hear people, then use your voice. Edit, cite my source. I learned this from the podcast The Big One. It's about how to realistically survive a massive earthquake day by day with certain scenarios. If you're visiting an unfamiliar location like a cinema or concert hall, take a few moments to look around for the nearest exit, then pick out a second as a backup in case the first becomes blocked or cut off. If something happens, especially in a crowded public place, most people's first instincts are to turn around and head for the main entrance, but this is not always the closest, safest or easiest way out. 9 times out of 10 there will usually be a closer exit. If you smell a fish smell in your house, some people also report a urine-like smell, for no reason. 9 times out of 10 it means there's an electrical fire. I actually was the hero in this situation. Was visiting my sister a number of years back. Hanging out on her couch. Smelled a smell of urine with a bit of dead fish mixed in. I asked her what that was. She answered, "It's been here for weeks. We think a rat or squirrel got trapped in the walls." That didn't sound right to me. A dead animal would smell different. And for whatever reason, I googled smells like urine. Electrical fire was the first answer. So, I sniffed all around the room and found it was coming from the plug of an old lamp. Unplugged it, odor vanished. Instant hero. I worked at a camp as a counselor. For a few days wherever we go past the guys lodging it would smell terrible, to the point where the head staff made all the guys clean up and have inspections because of the smell. Finally, one guy looked it up on the weekend, came back and said it was probably electrical. It turned out to be a light bulb that was the wrong wattage and was pulling too much power. We also discovered an outlet that was glowing red. We removed the bulb, and someone came in and capped the outlet off and never had to have another inspection. Similar but not related to fires, if someone starts to smell things that no one else can, it's possible they are having a stroke or other brain damage is occurring. People like to say burnt toast is what you smell, but because a stroke can impact really any part of the brain where a clot occurs, it can be anything. Always remember fast face, arms, speech, time. If they can't smile properly, numbness in arms, or speech is slurred, it is time to call for help. If the ocean is retreating, there is a tsunami coming, evacuate the beach immediately. If the animals are running, I'm going to follow them. Maybe they are running because you are following them. When will you stop? Can't remember the details, but there was a schoolgirl who saved a lot of people in the 2004 tsunami because she had learned this in school. If a tornado looks like it isn't moving, it's heading right towards you. Maybe not your life but possibly others. In an emergency situation, pick one person to specifically call 911. In lots of stressful or emergency situations, there are significant delays in calling 911. Some people assume that others will call 911 while other panic freeze up and don't think to call 911. If you're faced with a situation where 911 is necessary, pick a specific person to contact 911. Wasn't that a psychological effect? If no one is chosen, there's a high chance no one will do anything because they all think the others will do so. Edit. Well, this also blew up. Reddit's a strange place. Is it the bystander effect? If you get kidnapped, try to leave as much traces of yourself behind as you can. For example, leave bits of clothing behind or scratch your arms a lot to leave dead skin behind. This way you increase your chances that a search dog could pick up your scent and find you. I watched a crime show once where the victim left her hair everywhere in her abductor's car. She kept pulling single strands of hair out. When she was taken to the house of the person who took her, she pulled more hair out, touched everything she could to leave fingerprints behind, and even licked multiple places in his house. She managed to escape, and they found evidence of her all over his car and house. Slam shut case. I wish I could remember her name so I could look her case up. Side note about kidnapping: if someone threatens you, even with a gun, to get in their car, it may be best to run for it. Most people are terrible shots and don't want to attract the attention gunfire would cause, and once they have you, your odds of a good outcome plummet. Move. It is harder to be shot when you are moving at it. Also watch for coconuts. Those inanimate monsters kill 150 people a year. Heart attack symptoms in woman. 1. Uncomfortable pressure, squeezing, fullness or pain in the center of your chest. It lasts more than a few minutes or goes away and comes back. 2. Pain or discomfort in one or both arms, the back, neck, jaw or stomach. 3. Shortness of breath with or without chest discomfort. 4. Other signs such as breaking out in a cold sweat, nausea or lightheadedness. 5. As with men, women's most common heart attack symptom is chest pain or discomfort. But women are somewhat more likely than men to experience some of the other common symptoms, particularly shortness of breath, nausea, vomiting and back or jaw pain. I read somewhere if a stranger gets in your car and tells you to take them somewhere, drive into something like a lamppost or anything. You won't be useful to them anymore because the car is damaged and you've drawn attention to them by crashing the car. You'll damage your car, but you'll have your life and your bank account. Someone at my college did this a few years ago. The guy told him to drive to the bank and withdraw all his money, so he drove into a lamppost and saved himself. Don't do this if you're an Uber driver. If you're lost in the wilderness and need something sharp to hunt, defend with, make a spear by hardening a soaked branch stick over a fire. The water prevents the stick from burning, but the heat from the fire forces the branch to condense and harden, making them more durable. All firearms are loaded. Even if they are not, they are. If you need to call 911 and you're too busy helping the victim, CPR, specifically point at someone and say you. Call 911. Instead of somebody call 911. It snaps a person out of bystander's effect and they act. How to identify if you or someone else is having a stroke. Time is key, so you need to act fast. Facial drooping. A section of the face, usually only on one side, that is drooping and hard to move. This can be recognized by a crooked smile. Arm weakness. The inability to raise one's arm fully. Speech difficulties. An inability or difficulty to understand or produce speech. Time. If any of the symptoms above are showing, time is of the essence. Call the emergency services or go to the hospital. If you have an iPhone, pressing the lock screen button 5 times rapidly will initiate a call to emergency services. Handy for if you don't want to show you have a phone by removing it from your pocket. It will dial automatically. I accidentally butt dialed 911 because of this. This one's pretty obvious, but if someone's grabbing you, it's usually easy to break the hold by grabbing their thumb. Can't hold shit so well without your thumb. I'm glad I haven't had the opportunity to use this next one, but I've been taught that if someone is trying to assault you or kidnap you, and you manage to get him on the ground, prop his leg up on something, kneecap facing upward, and fucking jump on that goddamn knee. Can't chase or kidnap you if he can't fucking walk. Edit to add. The thumb thing I've found great when trying to break a hold without doing damage. Lots of people have been talking about pinkies instead when you're fine with damage, which is great advice. Also, don't do the second one if you can help it. This also works if someone tries choking you. I got jumped by a lunatic once that tried to choke me out. I grabbed both his pinkies and tore with all my might. He shrieked and let go instantly. If you call 911 even though you don't have signal, it will work. If stranded in the wilderness without food, do not eat mushrooms as a food source. 90% of them will kill you or make you violently ill. And some species of poisonous mushrooms imitate or look nearly indistinguishable from edible ones. So unless you are a mycologist, the fungus are not fun guys in a survival situation. If you get caught in a current, don't swim towards the shore and instead swim parallel to it. Edit. People seem to be confused, but I should clarify that you swim parallel to the shore. Okay, so if you encounter a wild bear, try to look as big as possible. Stand on the tips of your feet, raise your hands high up and look the bear straight into the eyes. Then start talking in a really deep voice, like really Darth Vader-like. So deep that nobody would even understand what are you saying. The bear will look at you for a while, probably do some noises. In this case, do not scream, you will scare the bear this way and he might attack, but eventually the bear will leave. This is the only thing that works on bears. You cannot outrun them because they can run for much longer than you, and unlike boars, they are very good tree climbers, so don't try escaping on a tree. This doesn't work with grizzlies and polar bears though. Only with black bears and some brown ones. Some more facts that can help you survive head-on with an animal. With the bear you want to be as big as possible, it's the opposite when facing gorillas. They are very proud animals and they don't want to see any type of resistance. Also, gorilla is the last animal you would like to fight. It can outrun you, overpower you, and it can climb trees way better than you. However, when you meet wild gorilla you want to crawl down and look the smallest you possibly can. Laying belly up also helps because animals see that as a surrender sign. With other monkeys, you probably won't be able to overpower them, but they won't have interest in you unless you have something they like. Just don't look them in the eyes. Sharks, same as bears, you want to look as big as you can, so they think you won't fit into their mouth. However, they are not aggressive creatures. And unless absolutely necessary, don't try to swim away from them. Even the best swimmer of the world is as fast as retarded seal, and those are sharks' favorite food. Crocodilians don't face them in water. Once they grab you in water it's pretty much over. Only thing you can then try is poking their eye. This works with a lot of animals that get grasp on you, including sharks. However, this makes them either flee or attack, so do this only when absolutely necessary. When facing crocodilians on the dry land, try running in zigzag pattern. Don't run straight ahead because they are amazing runners. But they should lose their interest in you fast enough. However, if you are chased into a corner with a crocodilian, try and jump on their snout, closing their mouth. They have very fearsome bite force, however it's very easy to hold their mouth shut with just one hand. Once you do that you can move the crocodilian as you wish, face him back to the water, release him, and run as fast as possible away from him. Rhinos have very poor eyesight, so they won't see you approaching them, so when they notice you they get very scared and will start chasing you. They are much better runners than crocodilians, so outrunning them isn't an option. However, they are not really good in changing directions mid-run, so try the zigzag pattern and you should be able to shake them off easily. Birds, it's weird, but even birds can cause trouble. I'm not talking about ostriches or emus, but about regular parrots. I have faced this issue only in Australia, but it can happen anywhere else. Parrots will attack you only if you are not looking. Even though you can easily overpower them, those sharp beaks and claws are nothing comfortable. So the way to prevent parrot attacks is putting a pair of sunglasses on the back of your head. This really works. The parrots will think you are watching them and therefore won't attack. I tried this, and it works. Snakes just don't approach them. When you find one and you don't know if it is poisonous or not, just walk away from it. If you are bitten by one, find someone who can help, probably a hospital. Just tie your leg, arm, wherever you were bitten by a piece of clothing few centimeters above the bite, so the poison doesn't spread. Hornets. This is just a cool fact. Hornets are angered by the white color. You might think that taking off your white shirt might work, however remember that part of your eyes is white and they are easily angered by it, so when facing hornets walk away from them, don't look at them, just go. You can even run in this scenario. That's probably all. If you have any other animal related question, just ask. Those are just the most useful or interesting facts about surviving facing wild animals. If your car goes into the water, open the door or roll down the windows immediately. If you don't, the pressure differential will hold them shut and you'll have to wait until the car fills up with water. Edit. A lot of people are telling me that on newer cars, the headrest poles can be used to break a window. I'm not sure if that's true, because headrests I've seen are just made of ordinary steel and the ends aren't particularly pointy. A dedicated window breaker will have a sharp point made of an ultra-hard material. Does anyone know if newer headrests are actually made for this? Edit 2. It seems headrests are not designed specifically to break windows, but they can in a pinch if the proper technique is used, and they can actually be removed. Putting the point in the corner of the window and slamming the headrest. But then my interior will get wet. Have you tried putting it in rice? LPT. Keep rice in your car. If it goes underwater, the rice will absorb it all and keep you from drowning. And as a bonus, you can eat the rice later. Double check advices in this thread with your own research. Thanks for watching. Be safe.